Namaste. Why do people perform rites and rituals? Well, it is obviously to please God or the deity of one's choice so that a devotee can receive special favors, right? All right. The fundamental principle of most organized religions is the existence of a separate creator or one or more theistic beings that followers should blindly believe in, revere, obey, pray to, and ask for whatever they want. This represents a clear case of dualism, wherein God is perceived as a separate being existing outside of creation. This presentation is not about organized religions with their own belief systems. No, let's not talk about them. Instead, I'm here to enlighten people who may be unaware of some of the crucial facts about Vedic Sanatana Dharma, the pinnacle of which is Advaita Vedanta. Let's get this straight. 1. There are no personal gods or deities or anything like that in Advaita Vedanta. 2. Despite having Krishna right next to him as his own charioteer, Arjuna never asked for favors. Arjuna, like a good seeker, asked Krishna to teach him what was good for him. The whole of existence and consciousness is known as Brahman, that we personify as Krishna. It is the all-pervading self, substance or substratum of everything that manifests itself and is perceptible in various forms and shapes. A dualistic mindset leads to the notion that each individual has a separate soul. Thinking so is nothing but a result of taking allegorical descriptions and explanations too literally. Before proceeding further, let us look at two commonly used drishtanta or allegories, which are those of a pot and of the ocean. 1. There is no difference between the space inside a pot and outside it. 2. Every wave in the ocean is different. However, it is nothing but the same ocean. A wave is a rising and falling part of the ocean. The important point is that a wave cannot be separated from the ocean. Without the ocean, there is no wave. Just as all-pervading space exists in all pots and also outside them, and just as every atom of each and every wave is the same substance that makes the ocean, the all-pervading self, Paramatma, Parabrahma, Paramartha Tattvam, or Krishna, is the substance or substratum of everything that exists both outside and within every atom. When you break an earthen pot, you cannot separate the space that existed within it before it was broken, can you? The sky is everywhere. In fact, all that exists in the sky or space. Can space be divided into parts? Of course, in aviation terminology, airspace represents the regulated section of the atmosphere above a nation's territory, including territorial waters or specific three-dimensional aerial zones. However, it is essential to note that these divisions exist solely on maps and lack physical boundaries, unlike tangible objects. Let's get back to the ocean. Once a wave has fallen, you cannot separate the water that had earlier taken the shape of a wave. In every atom of the trillions of cells in our respective bodies, there exists existence, space, or the same Paramatma. Let me say this again. Advaita Vedanta does not align with traditional religious paradigms of worshipping a separate being that is supposed to have created everything. Advaita Vedanta is the study of the whole. Ishavasyamitagam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat. It is devoid of theistic figures within its framework and doesn't impose any specific commandments or a code of conduct that adherents must follow. The Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads and the Brahma Sutras are known as the Prasthanatri, or the principal three of Vedanta. They are the highest canonical scriptures of the Vedic Sanatana Dharma, and they supersede all other scriptures associated with the Vedic Dharma. The Mundaka Upanishad distinguishes between two types of knowledge, Aparavidya and Paravidya. Aparavidya encompasses knowledge of a lower or inferior level. This includes all teachings related to rituals, language, grammar, etymology, prosody, astrology, and of course those found in the Karma Kanda of the Vedas. On the other hand, Paravidya is superior knowledge that surpasses Aparavidya. It represents the highest understanding of the unchanging and eternal self and the realization of the supreme truth, which is the source and foundation of all existence and non-existence. Sri Adi Shankara's works can be broadly classified into three groups. The highest of his works are his bhashyams, or expositions on the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the 10 principal Upanishads, and on the Brahma Sutras. The second group of his works are the Prakarana Granthas, which explain in detail the philosophy of Advaita Vedanta. They include Viveka Chudamani, Atma Bodha, Tattva Bodha, Aparokshanubhuti, and the third group consists of stotras such as Bhajagovindam, Dakshinamurti Stotra, Nirvana Shatakam, Dashashloki, Shatashloki, and some others. All the works of Sri Adi Shankara lead seekers towards the reconciliation of the different ideas in various scriptures and arrive at the point of absolute clarity. Remember that the Puranas, for example, the Srimad Bhagavata Purana, are not part of the Prasthanatri. But let's look into why Puranas exist at all and their primary purposes. I'm sure you would agree with me that when conveying complex subjects, people often resort to examples or allegories for better understanding and internalization of the idea being communicated. The ancient rishis who compiled the Vedas, Itihasas, and Puranas extensively employed allegories for various reasons, including 1. Adding drama and impact to the stories. 2. Utilizing interesting and memorable stories as allegories to convey profound lessons, ensuring their transmission through generations. 3. Employing poetic structures to aid memory retention and preserve the original teachings over time. You know that it is easier to memorize poetry than prose. As I always do, I will now substantiate what I said by taking the help of 3 shlokas from the Srimad Bhagavatam, or Bhagavata Purana, which some Krishna organizations use as gospel, and one from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Are you ready? So, Srimad Bhagavatam and not Bhagavad Gita. Canto 12, Chapter 3, Shloka 14. Katha imaste kathita mahiyasam Vidaya lokeshu yashat pareyusham Vijnana vairagya vivakshaya vibho Vacho vibhutir natu paramarthyam. Shukadeva Goswami spoke, O mighty King Parikshit, I have shared with you the accounts of these illustrious kings whose fame and great deeds echoed worldwide before their departure. However, my fundamental intention has always been to impart the wisdom of the transcendental and the path of renunciation. Although the stories of kings embellish these narratives with grandeur and opulence, they, in and of themselves, do not represent the ultimate essence of knowledge. Canto 12, Chapter 5, Shlokas 11 and 12. Aham Brahma Param Dhama, Brahmaham Paramam Padam, Evam Saviksha Chatmanam Atmanyarthaya Nishkale, Dashantam Takshakam Pade Nelihanam Vishananehi, Nudrakshasi Shariram Cha Vishwam Cha Pratagatmanaha. Contemplate this truth. I am inseparable from the absolute truth, the supreme abode, and the supreme destination is non-different from me. By surrendering to the Supreme Self, transcending all material misidentifications, you will remain undisturbed Even when the venomous snake bird Takshaka approaches bearing its poison-filled fangs to bite your foot, you will no longer perceive your mortal body or the material world around you, for you will have realized your distinct existence from them. I'll now go to the previous canto in Srimad Bhagavatam. Canto 11, chapter 29, shloka 17. Yavat sarveshu bhuteshu madbhavo nupajayate tavadevam upasita vangmana kaya vrittibhi. Until the time a person has attained the ability to perceive me in all living beings, they should continue to worship me through the functions of manasa, vacha and kaya, or the mind, speech and body. Now the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, shloka 1327 or 28 in some editions. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishthantam parameshwaram vinashyatsva vinashyantam yaha pashyati sapashyati. The person who truly sees is the one who sees the Paramatma or Supreme Self existing equally in all beings, the unperishing within the perishing. In the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gently guides Arjuna, who symbolizes any earnest seeker, through three pivotal stages. While Krishna drops significant hints about his universal nature in shlokas like 241 to 46, Arjuna initially struggles to fathom their profound significance. Through this journey, the light of self-realization, known as Atma-Jnana, dawns upon the seeker. In this awakening, he or she comprehends that they are the essence of Paramatma, but the mirage of duality and their corporeal forms had earlier veiled this truth from their awareness. Commencing with dualistic bhakti, progressing to the pure karma marga, and ultimately attaining jnana is the path. However, the problem arises when full-grown adults become trapped in the unintellectual and highly misunderstood dualistic bhakti stage, which ensures unhappy, scary, or woeful deaths, instead of them embracing it as life's ultimate fulfillment. Moreover, they pass on this senseless duality to innocent young minds, hindering nearly 50% of their mental capacity. I'll conclude this presentation with a highly significant perspective. The war scenario depicted in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita serves as a metaphor illustrating the perpetual challenges that each of us encounters every day in life. These challenges encompasses not only external conflicts with the world, but also internal struggles against our own negative traits. Thus, our existence becomes a battlefield where our minds and bodies serve as arenas for both physical and mental combat against our negative inclinations, desires, thoughts, and attitudes. Now, the key consideration is to regard the Srimad Bhagavad Gita as a blueprint for one's entire life. If you have studied the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, you may have observed the following. 1. Arjuna, symbolizing us seekers, never begged Krishna for special favors or for victory in the battle. 2. Instead, he positioned himself as an earnest disciple in the presence of Jagadguru Krishna. You might want to refer to shloka 2.7. 3. Krishna never directed Arjuna to visit a temple, perform rites and rituals, or seek his appeasement through meaningless acts like pouring bovine milk on his vigraha and other such things that fall under the umbrella of dualistic bhakti. Krishna even explains the metaphor behind yajnas. In shloka 424, Krishna says, Brahmarpanam brahmahavihi, brahmagno brahmanahutam, brahmaiva tena gantavyam, brahma karma samadhina. The eternal truth, or Brahman, is the offering. Brahman is the clarified butter or ghee poured into the fire. For him who, through complete absorption in spiritual activities, has attained supreme consciousness, and sees divinity in everything, the Supreme Being is easily attainable. In Shlokas 246 and 438, Krishna clearly and directly places self-realization as the highest stage of spiritual attainment. Shloka 246 says that the person of self-realization has attained a state in which even the Vedas are no more needed. Yavanartha udapani sarvatah samplatodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanas vijanataha. For a man of self-realization, the purposes served by the Vedas is as much as what a small well does when it is flooded everywhere. And in Shloka 438, Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram vidyate tatsvayam yoga samsiddhaha kalena manivindati. There is certainly nothing more purifying than knowledge. He who is perfect in yoga finds it in the self in due course of time. Be a seeker like Arjuna, and not someone who bargains with Krishna, offering him material possessions like wealth, jewelry, or consumables. And certainly do not be a beggar pleading with Krishna for favors. Krishna is not some separate entity residing in the sky or some distant realm. Krishna embodies the potential that can be realized by seekers who adhere to his teachings. Krishna is the personification of the whole. Do you consider yourself truly devoted to Krishna? If so, start by reading and understanding a simple translation of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in a language of your choice, and then go into more detailed studies. If you need help beginning your fascinating journey of self-understanding through the study of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, simply reach out to me and I will share how I have greatly benefited from this supreme scripture that I often refer to as the nectar of all the Upanishads. Like Krishna said, Nirdvandvo hi mahabaho, rise above duality and be free. Spread love and peace. Be happy. The world is one big family known as Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Thank you. Stay blessed. Jai Shri Krishna.